Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome back, everyone. If you didn't see the last episode, you should go check it out. It's going to be linked right up yonder. If you couldn't tell from the intro, we've got a lot of stuff to do in this video. This is the big number 10 after all, so I won't be giving out any spoilers, but it's going to be a good video. So, we got a lot of stuff to do. We're just going to cut the crap right here, and we're going to get started. First up on our list of to-dos is this oil catch can. This thing is straight from Amazon. I don't even know the company that made it, but honestly, it's billet, it looks nice, and all it has to do at the end of the day is just hold oil that's coming out of the valve cover. So it doesn't have to be a super nice part, but honestly, for 35 bucks, pretty killer. Obviously didn't come with any mounts, so we're gonna have to make our own. So I originally had it mounted down here, but it gets really, really close to our radiator. And once we have a thicker radiator, this is actually going to be even further back. And the goal now is to mount it right about here. So just about level with the top of the fuse box. Still got about an inch of room to get the bottom of the can off. And it shouldn't have any interference issues. First things first, we need to do some CAD work. And this is obviously a Cheez-It box. Let's go with an inch wide. We'll just make it nice and easy. We'll make it 1/2 inch overhang right here. Do the same on the top. Okay, here's our finished bracket. Here's our plate. So there's our shape that we're going to cut out. Next step, angle grinder. All right, easy as that. We got our little brackets, nothing special, but it's my first time ever making something like that, so I'd say it came out pretty okay. Easy as that. Over to the car. Please hold. Definitely did not just drop the nut down in the frame rail and have to pull the radiator to get it out. And speaking of the lines, I got them right here. We're going to go from valve cover to the in and then out. We're going to go right under here into the intake. Boom. We have a catch can. Looks OEM, right? That's the whole goal anyway. Next up on the list, we have our oil lines. Now these feed from the pan to the remote oil filter adapter. And they're gonna run kind of right by the header. So I went and got this, and it's basically just a heat wrap. And all it is Velcro. And you can see the inside's like a fiberglass, heat resistant, outside's aluminized is what they call it. And I think this should fit perfect for what we're trying to do. They do sell gold versions of this too, but O'Reilly's didn't have any, so this will be fine. Now let's look at our oil lines. You can see we have them heat wrapped all the way down. They run inside of the engine mount and then behind the dipstick and then up to right here. And just to show you guys how it routes under here, comes out of the Sicky block, goes up, kind of does a little loop-de-doo on itself, goes along the top of the oil pan, and then goes up. For now, that's how we're routing it. I actually need to think about kind of how I'm going to make this bracket for the oil filter relocation. At the end of the day, we want this right about here. So we've got a couple options for that. And that's either drill 3 holes straight through the frame rail, or in some way, shape, or form, utilize the 2 mounting tabs for the ABS module and create a bracket that goes across and then kind of comes down here in that shape, which we can then mount this to. And that way we can have it, you know, like out here-ish. So that way it's out of the way of the headers, which are going to be right there. So I've got some thinking to do on that, but stoked on this one though. This one came out super cool. Really makes me want to kind of invest in some better tools. I made that one with an angle grinder and a drill. Anyway, while I think about that, let's get our fuel line run. Alrighty, our fuel setup. It's actually pretty simple. So the BRZ factory fuel pump is internally regulated to 58 PSI. And that's exactly what LS is run off of as well. So all we have here is our 6AN hose and then 2 quick disconnect adapters to 6AN. Now we gotta do is run this from the pump to the fuel rail. All right, so we're gonna start out under the car. We're probably gonna try and mimic where the factory fuel line went. And if you can see, just very barely up there, that's our hole under the cabin where the top of the fuel pump is. And then we're gonna follow these lines all the way down. So, first step, let's feed this through up here. All right, so we've got the line fed up through into the cab to the top of the fuel pump. As for right now, we just kind of have it dangling here. And then we've got it tucked up yonder. And that way we can get to it from the top side and see how it needs to route up there. But for now, let's get up into the car, connect it to the fuel pump. And this is our AN to quick disconnect adapter. And this should just go right on here. Like so. Okay, we got that threaded on. The 90's pointing that way. And it still seems to move pretty freely. So let's go up to the front of the car, see where we need to route it up there. Here's our fuel line in question. We're gonna get our quick disconnect on. For the routing, we obviously don't want it to be anywhere near the headers. So I think our goal is gonna be pretty simple. And just like that. Once we tuck up the clutch line as well, we'll probably zip tie this to it way back there behind the cylinder head. That way we don't have any interference issues with the header. Now that's connected up there, it's connected in the back of the car. We're finally gonna get these plastic clips back on the car that we took off, I think in the first or second episode. So, and if you remember it all from that early in the episodes, these clips right here. And they actually go to these factory studs like so and hold everything up. So let's get all these on. I'm gonna try and take as much slack out of the backside as possible. That way we can leave as much in the engine bay, so just for ease of getting things in and out and also routing. So let's get these on. All right, so unfortunately we might have to redo all of that. Technically does fit on here right now. It's really, really tight, and I don't like how sharp that 90 is. I really, really wish Sicky would have made both ends a 90. That way we can have it tied up all nice and it stays out of the way of everything. but we're going to figure that out later on. For now, I know it looks like we're putting stuff together, but this is all pretty much just mock-up. I have my clutch sitting right there, because this thing doesn't actually have a clutch in it yet. So we're going to pull the engine, and that means kind of taking everything we just did apart, which is no big deal. It's always good to install, make sure everything's right, and then take it apart, do a final install, bolt check, all that good stuff. So, I know I said in the last episode that that engine was in for the last time, but I lied. Sorry. All right, we have the engine in a pretty precarious situation, but everything seems to be okay. We got the engine out, we got the transmission out, off the engine, and now we need to get our clutch on. So, got Joe here helping me. Let's get this shit done. So that was almost a severe emergency, but I got my flywheel on, had the bolts for that, and then Joe pointed out, he was like, do you have any pressure plate bolts? And I didn't. So called around town, called the Chevy dealer, called all the parts stores, nothing. But I ended up going to 3 different Ace Hardwares to assemble a collection of the correct bolts. And these are actually flanged, exactly the same size as the ARP stuff. And it's 8.8, should be fine. So let's get our disc on, let's get our pressure plate on. You can see all of our hardware here from Ace, 8.8. These are actually 10.9, even better. Flanged, should work great. And here we have our definitely American clutch. There we go. Before everybody flames me for running the Chinese clutch, I have it on good authority that this clutch can handle it. And with the cost of it and the weight of it, the price is just right for me. So find out. Clutch installed. And now this will probably be fun for you guys, or than it will be for me. But you guys gotta watch me struggle. Oh. Oh. Holy fuck, that's heavy. Oh. Ooh. Enter. At the same fucking length? It is. Okay. Okay. I have these longer ones that I'm going to use as stabilizers. Okay, I've got 2 bolts in the sides here, which is going to stabilize it left to right. So like now I can let go of it. Wait, she's just getting those in. Holy shit. That was one of the worst processes I've ever had to do. I had to cut the camera because too many bad words were coming out of my mouth. But the transmission is on. It's all bolted together. And the reason why it was so hard, 1, it's a brand new pilot bearing. 2, the engine's dangling from the hoist. And since I was by myself, there's no way for me to lift the transmission, push it on, and get the bolts in at the same time. So it was super sketchy, but I had the transmission in between my legs. I got some longer bolts to kind of set it this way. And then I got some more longer bolts with sockets on them to slowly pull the transmission in equally all the way around. But now it's on, so we can put that behind us. And the clutch is in, even better. I do have to run to Ace again because I need some flange bolts, but we're going to get that done real quick. Then we'll torque the bell housing, and then our drivetrain's done. All right, successful trip to Ace. They had 2 left. Unbelievable. But anyway, let's get them torqued up. Then we're good to go. Let's go straight. That only took an entire afternoon. Drivetrain is together for hopefully the final time. So next step, we've got a bunch of gold heat tape that we've got to put around trans tunnel, probably a little bit on the frame rails. So I'm gonna go grab that. Let's get started. Man, that took a while. Was not expecting it to take that long. But it's kind of the theme of this project, I guess, right? This is all the gold foil tape that we're going to do. Might cut these back on the sides here. It doesn't really need to come that far forward, and it kind of looks cheesy, but under there, it's all gold foiled. Got underneath where the headers are going to go on both sides. And it goes back a little ways to kind of hopefully reflect the heat down and away from the cabin. So yeah, looks pretty decent. It's kind of hard to get this stuff all settled in on a banged up firewall. Can't really see it anyway once the engine's in, so it's fine with me. But speaking of that, it's time to get this engine in. Now, I promise you that's not coming back out. Maybe. We have the engine installed and the transmission with a clutch in it. We've got all of our gold tape going down here where the headers are going to be. It does come a little bit far forward, but that's okay. It's also all gold taped underneath, and you can't even really see it up top, which is nice. You know, we don't need too much bling in this engine. There's already enough with a 6.2 liter LS3. So we're going to call it a day there. This was like a 14-hour day for me, pretty much nonstop. And then we're going to pick this back up tomorrow. We got a couple more things we need to do. I did tighten all of the bolts for the engine and the trans, which unfortunately I forgot to put the shifter on, so we're going to have to loosen the transmission, but that's tomorrow's problem. Well, now it's tomorrow, so now it's my problem. But we already took care of it. We've done a couple things today so far that I did off camera, and you guys have kind of already seen it. But if we go check out inside the car, you can see we got our shifter all dialed in. Center console is just in there for now. It's not bolted in. And then also under the car, we have our beautiful drive shaft here from Sicky. This is an aluminum drive shaft. It's made actually by Drive Shaft Shop, not by Sicky. But it looks sick. Bolted up absolutely perfectly. I didn't even test fit it before I mounted all the engine and stuff because I knew it would be fine. But it's bolted in the back, slip yoke's all dialed in. So this is sweet. Technically, this is our whole drivetrain done. Which, that's a huge moment. That is months of work to get all of that where it needs to be. And I think it looks sick. So, on the agenda for right now, we need to make a bracket for this. And I'm glad I thought about it overnight, because I think I came up with a way better solution. So we're going to utilize this hole right here. We're going to drill this square out a little bit bigger. And then we're just going to put it right there. So we're going to repeat the exact same process as earlier. Get our little Cheez-It box going, get some CAD, and then cut it out. All right, this is the offcut from that piece that we cut earlier. So this is our shape. This shape obviously matches that right there. And this is gonna go down to those 2 bolt holes. So this looks fun to cut out, but we'll get through it. So I'm gonna save you guys watching me from angle grind for the next 2 hours. All right, so here's our finished bracket. Looks okay. Paint job's not the best, but it'll survive. We've got all of our hardware here, along with this bolt. So let's get it assembled. Every fucking time. The fitment's pretty good on it. It's like nice and even all the way around. Lines up pretty much perfectly up top here. So yeah, I'm stoked on it. Let's go get it on the car. So to kind of space it off the firewall, we're going to put some washers behind it just to clear this wiring right here. I'm not sure where this bolt was from, but it's somewhere on this Subaru that I'm no longer going to use. And it's the exact same thread pitch, just half an inch longer. We've got our bracket, put that on there. Get our 3 washers behind it. And it should just thread right in. Oh, I'm gonna lose it. So let's get our washers back here. This is gonna be kind of tricky, but straight through. And then we do our little trick here with the electrical tape to make sure we don't drop the nut. Learned my lesson from dropping the last one. Let's get these threaded on. I am going to get a different oil filter. This one's pretty gross being all white. There we have it. And with this mount being like this, there's still plenty of clearance underneath for the alternator. We've got clearance for the ground wires, which are right back here. As you can see, they're not interfering with anything. This is super, super sturdy. And it matches this side too. So there we have it. All of our plumbing is done. Minus coolant, which we'll get to shortly. So for you guys, it's probably only halfway through the video. For me, that was a long weekend, but we got a ton done. And this is not where we're gonna call it for this video. We still have a ton more to do. Let's look at our list here real quick. We ordered the clutch, and it's also installed, so we can cross that off as well. We have ordered and installed the oil catch can. We relocated our fuel line. It's not on here, but we obviously made our brackets for everything. The radiator lines and the Sicky headers, I'm probably gonna order tomorrow. That one's gonna be a doozy. The radiator, we're probably gonna stick with the stock radiator for now, just to start it up and get things going. Eventually, obviously, we'll put a badass radiator in it. But big items that we're gonna be working on throughout the week. I'll be filming all of it. Wiring harness and ECU install. So that's the Haltech that I have sitting up on the shelf, and the CAN bus translator, which actually showed up yesterday, but I had the transmission dangling between my legs and the engine dangling off the hoist. So when the doorbell rang, I missed it, but I'll go pick it up tomorrow. So that's what we're calling it for this weekend. We'll see you guys shortly. Welcome back, everyone. For you guys, it's been like 5 seconds. For me, it's been a whole week of dicking around with this thing. Now the engine bay looks mostly the same. We do have all of our stuff back here connected. So we've got our clutch line, got a little P-clamp there to our factory stud, goes down up above the transmission, wraps back around and goes down there. We've got our brake booster line here coming from the back of our intake. And this is just the stock one because it's got the valve right here, but it does fit. We also have our clutch line cut down, looking dialed. So we've got all our plumbing here done. A couple other things. There's a big spot here where my old engine used to be. And that is now sold, which is huge because we got some cool stuff showing up in the mail today. Also, I traded trunks with Joe. And the main reason why is because mine came factory with a wing. In the class that I'm going to run with, I can't have 2 wings. I can only have 1. So I wanted a trunk without holes, and luckily Joe has a trunk without holes, and it's the exact same color. And he wanted one with a wing, so we just swapped. And it worked out great. So we got that swapped over. Everything in here is looking dialed. Everything in here is looking dialed. And this just showed up. So this is from CX Racing. Yes, I know, China, but whatever. It should be fine. It's supposed to be an LS3 BRZ kit. We're going to see how it fits with our water pump and our radiator. But that is one of the things we were waiting on before we kind of did the rest of the things that go on up there. Because we need to see where that lands before we can do things like the air intake and then put in our air temp bung and all that good stuff. But anyway, let's get to mocking up these coolant lines and see how they look. Okay, that took like 3 hours to get all of those to fit. Once again, if I knew what I was doing, it'd probably be a little easier. But even still, I don't recommend this kit at all. It works, but I don't like it. I'll show you why. So the lower hose comes out from here, goes underneath everything, up, does a 90, and then goes into the water pump. The upper hose comes out through here and through this 90. So first thing I don't like, I had to change the water pump. I originally had this LS3 water pump, which is brand new, super nice, but the outlet for it is over here. The LS2 water pump has the outlet on the left side of the pulley, which is what you can see right here. So CX Racing said this was LSX compatible. It's LS2 compatible, somewhat. So I also had to cut down this upper hose because even still, it's really, really a tight 90 right here. As you can see, the hose like peels up right here. That's how tight it is. I mean, it's like not going anywhere, I guess. And, you know, I'll be surprised if it leaks. We'll see. And the other stupid thing, I've already got a radiator cap. This is a factory BRZ piece. Why the heck are they selling a kit with another radiator cap? I mean, I get it. That's the highest point. But if it was designed properly, you wouldn't need this. So this is just weird. Anyway, there wasn't really much information online on how to install this. Probably because nobody fucking uses it because it's terrible. Anyway, rant over. Time for some other Chinese parts, unfortunately. What's up, gamers? Editor Chris here. Let me put you on a little bit of secret sauce. So this is a Napa hose, part number 9521, and it fits super well. You also need a Napa hose reducer, part number 900, and all you gotta do, chop an inch off each end, and this shit's dialed. Anyway, later. So this is another shitty piece of Chinese hardware that I got from Amazon, and this is universal, so I was expecting this to need modification. The radiator hoses are another story. Comes with this silicone 90, which is hideous, but this is just temporary until we do a Corvette intake. And the reason why I'm not doing a Corvette intake now is because I need to order an actual proper radiator for this. And when that time comes, I want to make sure the radiator is not going to be in the way of the vet intake when we cut the core support here. So, nothing could be simpler about this right here. It is going to take some cutting. You know, we're probably going to have to cut a good half of it off. But you can see the idea right there. It's just a basic intake. And then this big John's gonna sit like right here. I think we're probably gonna wanna cut right about here. Oh boy. Well, I cut the intake and we got all that done. And then I kind of just locked in for like 3 hours. But I couldn't help myself and put on the front bumper. And we'll go pop the hood real quick. And here we are. Now the bumper's not just on, well, kind of is. It's not connected underneath. But we got the bumper screwed on everywhere up here. We got our front core support on. We got our hood latch on. We got all our stuff kind of routed over here. We got our intake cut. Fits pretty nice. No interference anywhere around. It's just kind of dangling right here. Radiator hoses are done for now. And everything clears under the hood. Like I said, kind of locked in for a little bit, but it's nothing you guys haven't seen before. Just the reverse of episode 1. But we're not quite done with the intake yet. With the Haltech, there's actually an intake air temp sensor, so we're going to have to screw and kind of bung right there to get that mounted. That's an issue for tomorrow. It's honestly kind of weird to see it with a bumper on. I haven't seen this car with a bumper on it in 5 months, so honestly it looks kind of weird. But it's just on there for now, just to give me some motivation. Sorry for kind of the lack of filming, but once you kind of get in the zone, it's hard to get out. Anyway, tonight, my headers are supposed to be here, hopefully. It's already like 8 o'clock and UPS hasn't showed up, so I'm losing hope by the second. Because if they're not here, that means we can't start it this weekend, which would be a bit of a bummer. So I guess you guys will already know if I've started it or not. Anyway, I'm going to grab some grub. We'll pick this up tomorrow. Well, the UPS delivery driver probably heard me talking shit because it's 8:15 and I cannot believe they just made a delivery. So shout out to UPS. Check these out.
I don't take shit, I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
Yeah, these things are coming upstairs with me tonight. So these are Sicky's 1 7/8 primary, 3-inch collector with a V-band, LS BRZ headers. And if you remember from when we put all the Sicky stuff on originally, I mean, dude, this is just nuts. Like, you can appreciate some good welding when you see it. It just looks insane. So, stoked on those. Honestly, anytime I get a part that has like super nice quality and good welds, I'm stoked on it. Not only do you get some wicked headers, but you also get this box of goodies. So we have our 3-inch V-band clamps. We have some gaskets. These are interesting. As you can see, the hole's off center. We'll show you what those are tomorrow. All new hardware, and of course, maybe our 10th Sicky decal. Anyway, now I can finally sleep tonight, knowing that by Sunday, this thing's gonna start. Have a good night. All right, good morning, everyone. First thing on the agenda for today, we gotta get these in. So these are actually steering rack bushings. They're solid aluminum, and they have this little hole right here, so you can actually move the steering rack around wherever you want. And that's gonna be important for the headers, which are under here. So first thing for today, let's get the steering rack off. All right, so we've got our steering rack kind of dangling here. I also had to pull out the sway bar mounts. That's no big deal, it's just a couple bolts. These are the bushings in question right here. And they're pressed in there pretty good. I already got this side out. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit sketchy. Well, not really, just using the wrong tool to make it work. So I'm gonna get it set up and I'll show you guys how it's done. This is my valve spring compressor. I know, I don't have a big C-clamp, but basically all a valve spring compressor is a big C-clamp that's adjustable. So we've got our big ass Honda axle nut socket right there. We've got it right here on the back side of the C-clamp. And we're just gonna press it out. Seems to work pretty well. Boom. That's an excellent use of a tool that was never designed to do that. Getting the job done. Okay. Now we're going to get some Scotch-Brite, kind of clean out the insides of these so those billet ones fit pretty nice. And then we should be good to bolt everything back up. Damn, that's a nice fit. Now the whole idea of these is to offset the rack. So you can see there's actually two sides on it. There you have it right now is for left-hand drive. And if you flip it all the way around, that's for right-hand drive cars. So they've made it for both of them. Obviously this is left-hand drive, so that's where we're gonna have it. And even still, once the rack is bolted up, you can still kind of move these down, or sorry, I suppose up to drop the rack a little bit. That way if you need extra clearance for headers, you can totally do that. So let's get this bolted back up. Okay, we got the steering rack all bolted up. Everything's in the left-hand drive position. So the rack is shifted all the way to the right. And I just wanted to check kind of clearance on the rack here. So this is just the bag that the Sicky stuff came in. And yeah, looks like we do have room up there. And I was a little concerned about the starter right here, but as you can see, we got plenty of room. It doesn't even like hold it in there, so should be okay over there. Now, I think it's time to move on to the headers. All right, it's finally time. We've been waiting for this moment for a long, long time. So take one last good look at these beautiful headers, because they're never gonna look this nice again. But we got all our hardware. We got the steering rack moved over. So let's get these suckers in. Okay, please hold. Much, much better. Please don't fall. This one should be a little bit easier because there's no steering rack in the way. Headers are installed. All the coil packs are back on. Spark plug wires. We even got our dipstick on. And it looks sick. Check it out. Boom. Now, the Sicky headers have insane spark plug clearance. Usually most aftermarket headers do not have that much room to get the plugs on. I'm still probably gonna have to get some sleeves because these headers are gonna get hot. But they look super, super good. Same on this side, just tons of clearance. And it is a little bit tight right here with the dipstick, which is okay. Nothing's actually touching, it's just pretty close. But this is where Sicky wants you to put the dipstick, so that's where it's going. But yeah, fully functional. Looks great. Here's just a good look at just how sweet all that turned out. You know, it's really satisfying to see months of work kind of come together, and all that effort makes it worth it. So anyway, on to something that I've been putting off for a while. Not putting off ordering, but putting off installing. That's our wiring. So here we have our Rebel LS. Here are all the extension harnesses that we're gonna need. And here's our actual harness. Now, I did have this up in my room already, kind of all laid out of how I want things to go. So now, we just got to put it in there. It's probably going to be one hell of a time lapse, so enjoy. First few harnesses went pretty smooth. So if we go and look at the car, we got a couple things routed. We have our injectors all plugged in. They're all tucked nicely underneath everything. Now this was kind of a pain since everything's pretty tight back here, but I routed the whole harness down underneath all this junk. And the actual harness connection plug is right here, so we've got some slack on that. And then it feeds this side injectors as well. We've got our throttle pedal right here, which currently right now comes out right here. We're gonna see where we want that when the main harness is on. We've got our map sensor right here, which is pretty short. We're gonna see where that can be routed. And then underneath, I have the transmission speed sensor plugged in. It snakes just all above the transmission. And we got a lot of slack on this, so we're gonna see what we can do to clean that up when the main harness is on. Which, speaking of which, I think it's time to get the main harness on. I don't think there's anything else in that kit that we're gonna use. So yeah, let's start routing, plugging stuff in. Well, scratch that entire time lapse. I kind of realized that the harness is going to have to come from the inside of the car out just by looking at the donut on it. So I undid everything we just did, which wasn't really that much, to be honest. We also have a hole going right through the cabin. So it's a 2-inch hole. It should hopefully be good. But now we're going to feed everything in from the inside and then route to everything out here. So luckily I didn't really have anything finalized or plugged in or anything like that. So the harness just came right out. But anyway, let's get the harness fed through from the other side. All right, shout out to my roommate Blake for helping me feed all that through the firewall. We've got it fed through right there. I'm hoping the battery still fits, but we'll see. I also have the whole driver's side done. I kind of just, once again, locked in for a little bit, but we've got everything connected. Had to pull the alternator off, which was dope. And now we got to work on the passenger side. So hopefully after this time lapse, all of this will be cleaned up. Let's hope. But here we are. The LS3 is wired and everything's ran, everything's plugged in. It's a little tight because the way this harness is designed comes out of the firewall, then everything kind of goes behind the engine first and then goes out to its respective banks. So we have everything running underneath the injectors right here. Same on this side. There's quite a lot more wires on this side, but that's okay. As you can see back here, it's all tucked underneath, super nice. Shouldn't have any issues with anything. The wires aren't like tight or anything, you know, everything's still loose, you know, no tighter than a factory harness would be. We've got our alternator connected, our coolant temp. The only one we have left is this guy, which is air temp. So this is what I was saying earlier. And I was hoping I didn't spend so much time dicking around with all the wiring because I was hoping to do this today and let it dry overnight. But we got to basically drill a hole, put a bung right there, and then paint this. And in that sensor pack that came with the Hall Tech, there's a inlet air temperature sensor right there. So if you guys are doing this at home, there are 2 plugs that I didn't use. One of them is right here, and that is for fuel pressure sensor, which these don't have from the factory. So we're gonna leave that there in the case that one day we do have a fuel pressure sensor. There's also one tucked way underneath, which I'm not gonna show you. But that one's our O2 sensor. And yes, we are gonna have an O2 sensor, just not right now. At least not for first start. We're not even gonna plug it in. Once we have our exhaust figured out, then we should be dialed to plug that in. For now, I just have it zip tied up, tucked up above the transmission, so shouldn't have any issues there. Yeah, lovely. To show you up inside, it's pretty tight, but we chose a hole that was kind of next to the factory pass-through in the firewall, way up there. And everything right now is just kind of dangling here. Eventually I do want to put it in the glove box. For first start tomorrow, we're just going to have the ECU dangling. Shouldn't be a big deal. It's just going to be hanging out. So in the morning, there's a couple of things I have to go get from O'Reilly's. I got to go get some battery cable. I got to get some PCV block offs. So then we can make the power leads to the ECU. We can power it up, plug in our CAN bus translator, and then it's time to fire it. So it's 11 o'clock right now. It's been a grind. So I'm gonna hit it. Catch you guys in the morning. Well, it's been an entire day of working on this car, and we've pretty much made zero progress. Definitely a frustrating day. I didn't film any of it really. I'll throw in some clips here and there, but I suppose we did make some progress. So let me show you what's going on. The main goal for today was obviously first start, which didn't happen, but that's okay. I don't want to rush things. What we did today was make our positive and our negative power wires for the ECU. They are fed down through the firewall in their own separate grommets, just above where the Haltech goes through. Which means inside the car, we have our Haltech fully wired up. I know it looks messy, but it's in there for now just to test things out. We also have our AGT translator wired in, which was a bit of a nightmare. I'll put in some clips of what the heck was going on there right now. And what we thought was going to be an easy unplugging of the body control module turned into removing the whole fucking dash. So the body control module sat right there, and there was just no way we were getting all four of these unplugged while the dash was in place. So between the help of Cameron and Joe, we managed to get that shit out, which sucked. But now we have the body control module out, like all that for that little piece of shit. So we're gonna take the plastic case off, and we actually have a new circuit board that goes in here. That's about all I got. It's been a lot today. All right, so once you get that body control module out, you pull the four little tabs off the sides, and you pull out the original circuit board. Now Joe's already in there putting the new one in, but basically the one you get from AGT replaces this circuit board, which is the original body control. And as you can see, Joe's in there putting the new one in. Well, the stock one with a new circuit board. So once that's in, we plug that in, and then I'll probably put the dash back together. And then that's pretty much all the wiring done. We just have to plug stuff in, connect things. But at least the dash can go back together. So kind of lame. Had to pull an entire dash to do that, but it is what it is. So we're going to get back to it. So yeah, in the moment you could probably tell I was a little bit upset, but it's okay. We got it done. We got the whole dash pulled and reinstalled in one day. And I didn't actually realize, but you know, you pull out that old circuit board and you put in a new one. It's a whole replacement. You know, I was wondering why it didn't come with a case. So super cool that it's designed that well. Another thing we did today was bleed the clutch. So we have a fully functional clutch pedal, which is dope. So that should be dialed. So here's what we're still waiting on for wiring. These are the stock BRZ ground positive for the starter. And I'm trying to figure out what needs to go to the LS starter, because the BRZ also had a connector here, which went to this connector, which went to the harness that I now put up here. So from what I've been told, to make this starter work, with the help of Josh and the guy from AGT, is we're gonna run this factory positive to the LS starter, and then we're gonna use this 25 amp auxiliary power from the Haltech, and this is going to get replaced with an LS style signal. This is a ground. I don't know where the hell that came from. I don't remember since that was 5 months ago. So I'm assuming it grounded to the block somewhere, and that's just how the BRZ ones work. I know the LS ones ground themselves to the block, so we'll probably just end up ditching that, but we'll figure that out soon. Also today, I know it's lame, but we painted our intake black, and we also put in the inlet air temp sensor right there. So pretty much all the wiring out here is done, minus the starter, which is why we're not starting it today. And once again, it's super late on a Sunday, and I've got work tomorrow, so I need a breather. Also, shout out to Joe for helping me out this weekend.
Shit's fucking fried, buddy.
And also, shout out to Cameron for helping me out this weekend. And then you guys have already seen my roommate Blake helping me out. Oh, and then we can't forget Josh as well. He's been answering my texts nonstop for about 5 months now. So, much appreciated. But yeah, we're going to kind of pick this up throughout the week. Hopefully get stuff filled up, things bled properly, and then we'll kind of work on a first start. But obviously this video is not coming out until it starts. So you guys know what's coming next. But anyway, have a good night. And it pops off.
Probably fire.
If there's a fire, probably fire.
You can dump water on these and it'll put the fire out, yeah?
Yeah. Okay, you ready?
Yeah!
Let's do it. Let's go! Oh, it smells so good. Oh my god! It worked!